And we're looking at one of the really important issues. The Regional Australia Institute has been working with the National Farmers Federation and others to put together a series of reports that will be unfurled at the National Press Club. This sort of goes back to the last time the NFF appeared at the National Press Club, when it put its 8 plank points that it would be moving agriculture forward in the next period of time. And this is a look at just how important that this whole area of regionalisation is. And according to the NFF, they say that regional Australia has a 1 in 100-year opportunity to set the agenda and to achieve a brighter and more prosperous future for the bush. And the National Farmers Federation, which is leading this regionalisation agenda, has launched a paper today. The NFF's chief executive is Tony Maher. He said the paper provided a clear pathway for regional development, leveraging Australians heightening the interest in working and living outside urban areas, particularly given the COVID-19 pandemic and what that's shown us. Mr Maher has said that regionalisation was not just about regional communities, but a solution to many of the challenges facing urban centres, including chronic congestion and overpopulation. Here's some stats for you. This is where I think the rubber hits the road on this one. And Australia stands alone at having almost 65% of our population in big cities. That compares with New Zealand and Canada that just have 30% of their population. So the concentration that Australia has causes major problems, and not the least of which is, a lack of numbers in much of the outback populace of Australia's landmass, albeit much of it is desert, but some is semi-arid, and then even into areas like where I am at the moment, which are on the fringe of those arid areas, where people live in small towns, and there just simply isn't the large regional cities and things like lots of teachers and nurses and the jobs for tradies and lawyers and so forth. But with COVID-19 and the ability to work on the internet and to work off-site, the regionalisation is something that needs to happen, is one of the headlines that Mr Maher says. They need federal, state, local governments to work hand in glove with industry on how to define these regional priorities. And the challenge for bureaucrats who make decisions about this sort of thing is, how can we get a transformational situation where regional infrastructure and the whole essence of providing these structures within our country areas actually does take place. And the NFF has led this regionalisation agenda. They're supported by a range of voices, and they believe that agriculture will play a vital role, with regional Australia should be a host for world-leading export industry in food and fibre. And the fact that we have got an opportunity, it should not be missed, says the NFF. Research by the NFF has shown that 80% of Australians believe that government should invest in what is needed to support food and fibre manufacturing in regional Australia. And programs that are part of this are already occurring, but there is a whole range of issues that to come here. And it's from the Regional Australia Institute. Their CEO is Liz Ritchie, and she's applauded the work that NFF have put into this report, which largely has a lot of documentation, statistical research that the Regional Australia Institute and Liz Ritchie and her group have come up with. And she says that we need to realise our full potential as a nation, and to do so we need to realise the full potential in the regions. Population needs to move back into regions. We need the smaller towns to be populated, not just the big corporate towns where every 100 or 200 kilometres we have these larger entities. These smaller entities are dying, and so are their local football and netball teams. Let me tell you, having travelled through this area just for a day, one sees the stark reality of that. Let's build agriculture, but let's build manufacturing and value add to our agriculture. Let's build bigger ports in our regions, in our smaller towns that have ports, so that we can increase the population. Let's get training TAFE colleges and so forth back with fitting and turning and boiler makers and trades like mechanics and so forth closer to where the kids are growing up. And let's provide incentives for capital cities to see that 65% of population dwindle back to maybe even 50%, and have those 15% of people who we're told want to move to the country, want to see change or a tree change, to actually make it and facilitate it to happen.